Welcome back to Cheche, the program where opinion counts. Today's guest is former presidential candidate Professor James Ole Kiapi. You're also a former PS for Education, a former PS.
Environment and medical services.
Yes, indeed. And recently, you've been criticizing this review or attempts to change the curriculum within the country. Why?
No, that is actually, the writing did not come out the way I gave the answers. What I said was that I don't agree that the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development should go back and do a study, collect views, because we have already done it. There is a report that we did with Professor Ongeri when he was minister in 2011 to 2012. That report is lying there. And we identified all the issues ailing the education sectors. And then the next stage was now for curriculum to respond to those issues. Now I'm reading again that they are going back to the field to collect views. And so I think that they should take that report on board, whether or not they should collect more information, because maybe there's some inadequacy someplace. But that was the point I was making, that indeed we need it, but we must be addressing issues that are known. They should also be engaging the Kenyans. They should be saying, Kenyans, are you happy with 844 or should we change the structure?
But that's what I think that's what they're doing.
Yeah, and those questions are already addressed. They are already there in a report. Written is already collecting dust right
I guess
now.
perhaps
nobody's talking about
perhaps
it.
They want to take the report back to the stakeholders and say this is what we have.
And I think they should. And I think they should say that, because we always have this habit in government that something is done and a new team comes in and it's like what the others did was nothing. Go back to what is already there and then build it from there. That's the point I'm making.
Okay. We've seen riots recently in universities. And there's a question here from Mine and Muranga, still on education. How would the former PS have handled the issue of teachers' promotions after acquiring degrees, now that the TSC has failed to promote teachers?
No, I think that when I was there, it was always a clear understanding that when somebody upgrades their skills, then they move to the next level. I mean, it's just a basic human resource issue. And I think that sometimes the issues of education is a very complex thing. And if you take things in a piecemeal fashion, then you will always have these challenges, help, loans, issues of education require a very holistic approach. You have to look at the whole picture, look at the overall budget, and look at what are the priorities. I think the teachers should be told, since the budget is this much, we have a plan from now and up to this time to move all of you to the next level, and then we will begin in sequential order with those who graduated earlier. That's how it's usually done. Even when they graduate from college, not all of them are hired. We begin with the ones who graduated earlier. So it's really more a clarity and giving them a time frame, create all this hope.
It does seem, though, if you're within the education system, whether it's a student, teacher, or whatever it is you're doing there, it does seem as if the system is broken. Would you accept that?
No, I wouldn't say the system is broken, but I would say the system needs fundamental reforms, and this we identified. This is not the first time I said this. I even said it when I was a PS, that we wanted to reform education in terms of opening more avenues, in terms of putting more middle-level colleges, in terms of really rationalizing use of resources and management of schools. These things are there, and then I wish you one of these days you get hold of that report, and then maybe you can call me, we come and discuss
Doesn't this reflect our politics?
I think so. Yes. And it's unfortunate,
Which
because
is what we've been discussing.
I would like to really encourage my brother and friend, Professor Kaimenyi, to get hold of that report and call the senior ministry officials and say, what was in this report? Because it will help him a great deal. It was a very open, objective report done by stakeholders. The ministry was removed from it. We didn't do it. It was not like we own it officially, but it was a report done by Kenyans.
Yeah.
What emphasis would you lay to early childhood education? Because it looks like it's neglected. And
in fact,
that's the basis of human growth.
I'll give it 100% emphasis right now, because it's not there.
When you were there?
It's not structured. No. But we came up again with it. It's there, the plan for implementation. And in fact, when the counties were to come on board because of the new constitution defines that early childhood education will be funded and implemented within the counties. So we propose now steps for bringing this about. And I think many counties are probably trying to do it. The ministry was to be responsible for the policy aspect so that there is some kind of uniformity and direction, but then it remains the responsibility of counties. And we actually were proposing in that report, we were very radical. We said we don't want kids to spend 10 years in primary school, 2 years of kindergarten, and then another 8 years of primary, and then altogether 10. We reduced it. We said, let us have a structured kindergarten, 2 years, and then 6 years of primary. Then you go to secondary. We had 6 years of secondary, 3 for junior and 3 for senior. It was a very elaborate thing, and we liked it. I defended it, but I lost.
Okay, again,
unfortunate. Because people just said, we want 844 no matter what, and it was politics. It was really politics.
Right.
It was not based on professional advice.
So listening to you speak, we started on politics, we're now drilling down into education, which is really your area of expertise. It just sounds like we're not really doing well as a country.
I think I keep saying that there are things we have done, but it's like we are always just stitching here and there and then responding to this and responding to that. I still like to follow the Singapore model where, a country can say, and we have it in Vision 2030. This is where we want to go. This is the road. And it doesn't matter which government comes into power. They will be very faithful to that mission, because we have all agreed this is what we want to do. These are our critical priorities. But you see, if we keep changing and then bringing new manifestos and new priorities and then firefighting, because you cannot go to the next level unless first you sort out the basic issues of this level.
So you've shared your concerns with us. Is there anything in Kenya that gives you hope? Is there anything we can celebrate?
Yeah, everything actually. I'm always hopeful, even when
Okay, let me rephrase the question. Is there anything the government is getting right?
This Jubilee government, yes. What would you say they have done well?
The Jubilee government, last year, I gave them 60% because they came in with pomp and robustness and responsiveness and freshness.
Energy and verve.
And energy and all that. But then, again, after a short while, they went back to the business as usual. And I really want them to go back to the first 2 months of their government. If they can go back to that energy, they will excite their country. They really excited their country the first few days and the first few months. And then suddenly they're now entangled in so many things and they seem overwhelmed. And that's why we are ready to help where we can. And
when you say ready to help,
not because we want to go to the government. Please, let me make that one very clear.
To clarify that, because
you'll
quickly be quoted.
Anytime we say we want to contribute, people take it that, now this guy wants to come to the government.
Yes.
So you're not asking for a job?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
We are saying that I would like to sit with the president anytime and just discuss and give my ideas. Whether he will take it, doesn't matter. But he should call us for a cup of tea to discuss his former opponents, because we are not his enemies.
But he already did that.
No, he didn't. He
invited
he only called us when he wanted us to give him support, and that was politics. Now he should call us when he's president.
Right. And if he'd offered you a job then?
I think we have gone past that stage, because there was a time when he started the government and I called him and I said, Your Excellency, if I can help in any way, I am willing to come in. Now, really, we have moved on, and I am happy because they have also said they have a government that is complete and they are happy with their government. Let them just get on with their job and stop talking too much and focus.
What do you make of this from Kuria in Rwanda? Cheche, we need a serious transformative dictator in Kenya. How I wish President Uhuru could be that one. That would make people work more and talk less.
I think what Kuria is saying, and I agree with him, is what we call benevolent dictator. What he's saying is that the president, as the commander-in-chief, as the CEO of Kenya, should just crack the whip and focus the country until all our minds are streamed on what the president. That's what Kagame does. That's what that thing called.
Look at what happened when we and terrorism are trying to flush out Al-Shabaab in parts of Nairobi, Mombasa, and the kind of hue and cry that came. And then you were saying we have what? We have a dictator?
No.
Human rights violations?
No, we are not talking about dictator, my friend Jao.
Benevolent.
We are not. We are talking about sometimes this consensus building for everything will not work. Sometimes you have a program that you have already designed, get on with it, and move the country in that direction. Somebody said that it may actually be easy to run a government, but it is not as easy to carry the people along.
Okay.
And I think that's what the president needs to do. Right now, this government is doing their own thing, and they keep talking about the Jubilee government, the Jubilee government. Let them abandon that definition of government, Jubilee government. Let them talk about the government of the Republic of Kenya, where I am represented. When they talk, they should not just be talking to court. They should also, Kiyapi should also be listening to the government, because I'm also listening to the government.
This from Kering in Ndonyo. Do you think court is realistic in its demands, or just out to frustrate our validly elected government?
Please, the job of every opposition is just to frustrate the government in power. And I think that is a fact everywhere. The opposition, the work of the opposition is not to tell the government, hooray, you've done very well. They will do everything to bring it out of power. So the government should not listen too much to the opposition in some cases. But when there are national issues that we all agree are issues, then that's when opposition and government side must come together and close ranks and move together.
You have just written yourself off from being listened to. Why? Because you are part of that opposition which should just talk and the government should go doing its thing, which is what it is doing.
I am part of the opposition, and I'm here because I'm also representing another alternative view. So when we talk of opposition, it doesn't mean it must be only one view, the court view. There must be another view.
Yes. Your view is also critical of the same government. You're trying to frustrate the government.
No, I'm not frustrated.
Somebody would say the same, because by your own qualification of what government should do.
You don't know how many times I've gone to the government to share my views.
Right.
Quietly. And I've gone to very high offices and say, guys, I think I'm listening to the public, this issue. And people have appreciated, and they've said, this is really nice. But now you're asking me a question here on national TV.
Yes.
What do you want me to do?
Yes.
Prof,
the question is, let me ask you this question. A diehard supporter of Jubilee and the president would say these guys are just noisemakers. Is the situation that bad? That those who think, exactly as you said, the opposition will always make noise. And things are not that bad. David, how bad are things? David, are they so bad as to call for a national crisis meeting? Somebody say, no, what is the big deal? I mean, government is doing its work. Government, there will always be problems in the country. Are we worse? We are not worse off than we were a couple of years ago. Somebody will in a consolation manner say that.
David, if you are in Nairobi and mostly live in Kileleshwa or Lavington, you probably may not even know what's happening in Kenya. But if you are in Mombasa right now and you are working in a hotel as a waiter and you've been laid off, yes. I mean, that's bad. And when you have now many such hotels and thousands of Kenyans laid off, that's serious. Yeah. When you have Kenyans not being able to go to Gikomba market and just feel free and buy their stuff, that's a matter of concern. Yeah. When you have Kenyans worrying about going to malls to shop and just hang out with their kids, I think that's an issue of concern. Yeah. So I think there is a sense in which, yes, there's, I mean, it's not like the country has fallen over and that the government is dysfunctional. No, that's not what we are saying. We're saying that we don't want to go there, and that if there are issues that are of major concern to all of us, then we must address them.
What do you make of this? Let Kenyans have a dialogue on county level and submit their opinions to the national level, then have the government look at all the opinions and choose the best to work on. The issue of the IEBC is not an emergency. That came from Lorna in Kisii.
First of all, again, I say that the issue of IEBC myself is an ongoing concern. IEBC must learn from the past election and improve so that the next election is better.
To be fair to them, we had the
better
acting
managed.
CEO here last week, and she did say that they had done a review, and the audit of the lessons learned would be published,
With who?
would be made public.
With who? They have done a review, an internal review.
You're right.
No, that's not good enough. They should call the parties, because we are the stakeholders of IEBC, and then call us and allow us an opportunity to vent out and to bring out issues, so that then together we can sort of come up with a roadmap. On the issue about the consensus, I mean this dialogue thing, I think that's just that's a great suggestion, because I think that person is saying there must be something happening at the county level, there must be something happening at also the national level, and I think the exact manner of engaging has not been decided, and that's why we must come to the table, and I would like to be on the table, and I will be on the table, because I will put myself there, so that we can identify the real priorities. We're not going to just have a talk shop, talk forever. We want to say, let's focus mainly on 1, 2, 3. And let's come up with some concrete suggestions that can help the government in terms of urgent interventions.
Okay, let's come to the issue of the exclusivity of politics. Because, of course, we've said it in the introduction, you ran, you lost. You don't have any representation in Parliament. Does your party still exist, Restoring the Kenya?
It does exist, because we have people at the MCA level. I mean, we have county ward representatives, or what we call MCA, member of county assemblies. We have several.
But you don't have access to the political party's fund?
No, we don't, and that is unacceptable. I don't agree with the idea that, and I think that act should be changed, the idea that the biggest eat it. I mean, big parties don't begin by like just a big crowd of people, and then that is a big party. A big party is a big idea. When a KIEP has a big idea, I must be allowed to build that idea over time. And maybe 10 years and 20 years after, I started the idea, many more people will say that was the idea.
Yeah, but Prof, I mean, you must be allowed to build your party and qualify for
funding.
No. We should not support you to build your party.
No. There must be an amount of money that we all must share, a certain percentage. It's all about equity.
What will be the criteria? What will be the formula? Because parties will always proud.
No.
There are 40 of them.
The formula
there has to be briefcases.
Yeah, there has to be a qualification to enjoy the support of the public in your activity.
That qualification was already met when we were registering, because you are required to have at least so many people in every county and to have so many offices in every county. I mean, how am I supposed to run 24 offices in 24 counties?
The members who register in those parties in those counties should support themselves to run the outfit.
No, but why should one other party, just because they succeeded in one election,
yes,
it could be me the next election. Right. But what I'm saying is, the principle of equity is that you can say this percentage we give to every party at least for capacity issues. This percentage we give to the parties, we reward those parties that have done well. Yes. And then this percentage will go for administrative costs. I think that's the most fair.
The problem is your membership. Many parties, I'm not sure about you as whether you are not part of the problem. What you did is not get membership in counties as required. You went and got lists,
office building lists.
And then you put that their members. Some people, some of us who are put in parties, have never belonged to any political party in my life.
I agree.
But
I mean, Jao, you are right. There is a question of legitimacy of membership of political parties.
Yeah.
Yes. But that was because of the capacity of the political parties office and capacity of IEBC and where people were accessing this data. Where was the data sitting? And this is why I'm saying we want to tighten certain loopholes in IEBC and other places.
Yeah.
Which port were people feeding from?
Okay.
It was not M-Pesa, I can assure you.
All right. There's a matter that you have not addressed, which has been eating at the national level.
Just a minute, David, because still on parties, because you, of course, you're here in your capacity as a political analyst, but you have dipped your toe in the waters of politics.
Yes.
You run as an independent.
Yes.
And so there's a point that Professor Kiapi made earlier about the exclusivity of politics in this country, so that those of you who try to become an alternative voice or force are pretty much locked out, A, by ethnicity, and B, by your wallets, the size of your wallets.
Yes, yes.
What's your take on that? What needs to be...
I mean, of course, from my experience, which is reserved for...
By the way, I was very happy. I was very happy when I saw you running.
You know, first of all, you get into politics out of a decision that this country deserves better. And the frustration at lack of change. You talk about things you find like, come on, these things can get done. And if they're not going to get done, I'll try and go get them done myself. So that sort of, to speak, is my motivation for getting into the politics. But then when you get there, you find the terrain is totally uneven. Some of the things we're discussing here about political parties' capacities, the elections in this country are determined by money and ethnicity and such other factors that go to about 5. Now, as an independent candidate, for example, what Professor Kiapi is advocating, that political parties get funding. Unless you go into the Constitution and then make provision for everybody who will aspire to office, you are never going to cater for everybody or anyone who will get into the political processes. Yes, you'll fund political parties because they have offices, but the Constitution, if you're going to talk about equity, also allows you as a citizen, as a person, to run for office without affiliation to any of the political parties. So what happens to those people? Again, the challenges will not change. The scales of our politics just need to change from money, from resourcing, to ideas. Where they
In terms of your experience, did you find that people were listening to your message or asking you for money?
In fact, that is the funny part of it. And it's a good experience, I'm telling you. I think every journalist needs to go through that induction.
Never enter the mark.
The people will love the message. They'll agree with you. They'll find value in you. But at the end, the poverty levels and the culture of money will topple everything else. Because after you speak, people agree with you. They think they need this change. They need these ideas. But at the end, they say, you can't just leave us like that. You must, give us something. It is the 50 bob that the voter needs that counts for that day. Not your great ideas, not your vision, not your grand plans to improve his welfare.
Mutegi, what do you think?
There are people who are elected without money at all. Take, for instance, Martin Shikuku. And another fellow who used to be my member of parliament called Ignatius Motua. People used to go and buy shoes for him. They put him in a vehicle, go and get him registered to vote and come and vote for him. The same thing with Shikuku. Years he was member of parliament for Butere. He never
For how long was he a member of parliament? At the end of it all, he fell at the altar of money. And secondly, not money just to give at the election during the campaign. As a politician, you have to spend lots of resources, rewarding people, paying for their activities, their funerals. That's what Mutegi is not looking at. It's not, I'm just referring to the 50 bob on that day.
Is there a difference, though, in time frame? Because you're talking about Martin Shikuku being elected at a time when some of us did not exist. And over the years, we come into the sort of politics that David experienced. That people want the 50 shillings. Yes, I like what you said, but I need money to, go and buy food for the children or to go and have a drink. Are you giving it to me or not?
Unless you are on a political party wave, which then propels you.
Yeah.
If you take out the political party, which is the favored party, ethnic party. So there are factors. That's why I said elections are determined by 2, 3, 4, 5
because
factors.
I remember during the campaign trails, unfortunately, Professor Kiapi, people making fun of you because you were campaigning on the road. You didn't have a helicopter at your disposal. And there were those who thought, can you really be president of Kenya if you cannot afford to fly around the country? And the same was said of Martha Karua.
And that is...
Dupa got a lot of...
No, but
Dupa did not even have a car, but he got a lot of kuras.
No. I mean, he raised 2 major factors, and let us not trivialize them. Number 1, the issue of money. Number 2, the issue of tribe. Those 2 factors are very serious in this country. And also, the Kenyan people. The Kenyan people are responsible for the leadership they have. Because we don't think about leaders. We don't think about quality. When that madness of campaign arrives,
yes.
I was driving, going home, my own county, and I stopped in Suswa, and people came and said, Mheshimiwa, you are the best. Come, we want you to, we love you, we're going to vote you. And then one comes to me close to my car and says, sir, just finish with us. I mean, we are already going to give it to you.
Exactly.
Finish to us mean what?
Give us the money.
I was just going home. And the guys are telling me they are going to vote for me, which is not even true.
Yes.
And that I should sort them out.
Yes.
And that is happening all over the country.
It is.
So how do we break away that cycle? And then we keep saying that, people should not buy votes, people should not use money. But the guys are using money and they're buying votes everywhere.
Yeah.
If you don't have money, forget it. And
the worst part is that
for
there's
me
no
right
mechanism
now, I'm
for
very
checking
clear
that.
in my mind. I used to say that, look, this tribal thing, I'll just have a nationalistic appeal. I was very, very idealistic about it. Not so this time, anymore. I believe that Kenyans have a long way to go before they come out of their tribal cocoons.
Okay.
And we need a critical mass. So, Makali, David, let's just make sure that in the next time round, a bunch of us come together.
That's a good note to take a break. This is Cheche, live on Citizen TV. We'll be back with today's guest, Professor Ole Kiapi, former presidential candidate.